this day will be remembered for, especially depending on where you live, would be the convective severe weather we saw as a result of this storm. And the National Weather Service going out today, putting their eyeballs on damage left from tornadoes, such as this one recorded by Brandon Pope off of Old Mountain Road in Iredell County, eventually crossing into Alexander County. He took this video and posted it to Twitter yesterday. And what you're seeing here, we now know, is a EF1 tornado. You can see the path here that the National Weather Service in Greenville, Spartanburg, Tricia Palmer herself, took this trip on up here to take a look. And this was an EF1 tornado with peak wind gusts of 110 miles an hour. Luckily, no injuries to report, very minor damage, but their storm survey does account for trees that were topped off at about 20 feet above the ground, which was helping them to determine the impact of that tornado. That was just one of several tornadoes that the Weather Service confirmed today. The National Weather Service in Greenville, Spartanburg, by the way, issued, if I have this right, 37 tornado warnings yesterday. The most their office has done since the late 1980s.
Wow.
If I recall the statistic correctly from Brad Panovich at WCNC, 69 tornado warnings across all of the National Weather Services in the Carolinas. Evan Fisher's got a map up here on the screen. So that includes, that does include Peachtree City. That does include Virginia, because the National Weather Service boundaries and the state boundaries are not the same. 67 tornado warnings, flash flood warnings, 27 with flood. Is that advisories then? 23?
Flood warnings. I left flood advisories out.
Okay. Let's get back over to what the Weather Service was finding today. We did have down here a little bit closer to Greenville, another EF1. Now, this was a low-end EF1 in Malden, South Carolina, with a tornado that touched down near Brooks Road and Highway 276. And you can see that this one was on the ground for about a little over 2 miles or so. And minor damage to roofs and siding noted to several structures. Damage was primarily limited to multiple uprooted large hardwoods and snapped trees, not too dissimilar from the one seen in Alexander and Iredell counties. Another EF1 here to show you on the map near Fountain Inn, South Carolina, where the storm survey team found that a tornado touchdown east of Pennington Road. This tornado tracking north-northeast, crossing intersections such as Highway 418. Damage, again, primarily limited to some hardwoods and snap trees, which would be expected with an EF1. One of the trees, though, did fall and damage a home on Ritchie Road. The shed there was also damaged and destroyed as a result of a fallen tree. So a direct result of that tornado, which EF0 also striking about 3 miles southeast of Fountain Inn, South Carolina. And I could have sworn, yes, there is. I was going to say, I could have sworn there was another short-lived little guy here, an EF0, that was on the ground for about 1/10 of a mile. And this one near Sandy Springs, South Carolina. And I almost missed this one as well here near 6 Mile, South Carolina, also on the ground for about 1/10 of a mile, where multiple trees were uprooted. Some of these shorter paths are not surprising, considering the tropical nature of the setup yesterday. And if you joined us for live coverage, or your local television broadcasters, they were talking a lot about these cells that were training across areas. But the nature of tornadoes associated with a tropical system like this, they spin up very quickly and they spin down very quickly. So it makes warning on them very tricky. You got to move very quickly. And then they don't live very long, which couldn't be good news. But it comes down to pulling that trigger, getting the effective communication, and then on your end at home, making sure you move to safety as quickly as possible